Meow. Well, we're back for more for DIY speaker building, and got our glue ready. We're ready to start putting some more of this thing together, doing some kind of controversial stuff with the sound deadening inside it, which, hey, it's my speakers, I can do them how I want, right? And so let's go ahead and get started building. Okay, this is all dried up. I went ahead and pulled off a couple of clamps and my tape. I'm going to pull off these last two clamps here that I added to really clamp down on this center divider here to get a really good glue joint there. And I'll show you how nice this turned out. And this beveled edge came out almost perfect. See how nice that is? It's even all the way down. Nice, perfect, almost perfect joint all the way down. I'm super happy with that. So the next thing I'm going to do is come in and glue this other side piece on, and this should be a lot easier to deal with because on this piece these aren't going to move, and we really should just be able to set this piece of wood in place, and these edges look like they line right up. So again, that should be pretty easy, and like I said, all I should need is, maybe if I hold this up vertically I can show you better. I should just need to be able to put like that. I should be able to just put 4 clamps like that, glue the bevels, and we're good to go. Also going to glue up this piece and probably just need to put it along the sides. I don't think this is going to touch the bottom of this groove, but it doesn't really need to. The other thing is I can come back and add like a glue fillet with some of the sawdust mixed in with the glue to strengthen it, to kind of give a little gusset joint along there. The other thing is, before I put the top and bottom on, I'm planning on coming in with some sound deadening material, some of that kind of aluminum foil on one side with the, the black butyl stuff. I'll get the name of it, maybe put a link in the description of the material that I'm going to put over here. And I'm taking off all these weird anti-mildew, do not eat or swallow stickers. Let me zoom in and show you that. That's like some bizarre stuff. I have no idea what that even is. Isn't that weird? So anyway, we're going to get rid of all those. And then, like I said, we're going to coat these inner panels to put a little extra sound deadening, even though we are going to stuff it with the, that wool stuff they give you to put inside it. And so let me get the side panels glued on, and then tomorrow morning that'll be dry, and we'll have the, basically we'll have the squared up box done, and that'll be nice. I may be able to go ahead and put my little corner braces in here on these corners at the same time that I'm gluing this down, and come in and just kind of clamp them in place. And then we'll be ready to come in and put the sound deadening material on the inside, and then glue the top and the bottom on, and we'll be ready to finish these things up. So let me get to gluing. Okay, so we got the other side panel glued on, and as you can see, I've got 4 clamps like this, and then I came in and put some clamps like this in the corners to hold these little wood blocks that I put in here, just like I did on the other side panel, just to give it a little more reinforcement in there. And I did the same thing on the other side, but I'm going to go ahead and pull these clamps off and show you now where we're at. And we should have a very stable wood box now. And again, I've seen people build these just doing the total tape method, and you might be able to build them like that, but I'm showing you how I did it. I didn't trust that method. And so again, we've got clamps here on this side holding these little wood blocks in the corners, and that's just a way of bracing the inside of the cabinet. Doesn't hurt a thing to do that. And again, we came up with a really nice edge here. Let me zoom in here and show you what this looks like. And we got a nice, really clean edge along the whole side of it. And so that turned out really good. So the next thing I'm going to do before I glue the top and the bottom on it, and this might be kind of a controversial thing, but hey, I'm doing it anyway. I'm going to apply some of this butyl sound deadening material onto the interior surfaces of the speaker box to help dampen the sides of it. And some of this stuff's called Dynamat. Some people call it that. This is Nokia or Noico.info. This stuff came from Amazon. You know, it's a cheap version of the same thing. And basically, you just cut out a piece. And as you can see, I didn't go all the way to the edge. I'm just trying to cover like the main surface of it. And then I just use something like this little rounded kind of handle here to just go like this and smush it down onto the, I think I used the end of it, but just go like that and you just smush it down until this pattern disappears. And then it's got this little waffle pattern. And when the waffle pattern disappears, you've smushed it down far enough where it's going to stay in place. And so like I'm going to put pieces on the inside like this. And I feel like especially in this top part, that would be difficult to get to later. So I'm going to get some scissors, cut these pieces out, and put them in here on all the surfaces, then cut these holes out, you know, between them. And then we're also going to put the kind of fiber fill sheets over the top of this stuff. And I'm going to cut those pieces out and glue them to this stuff with some contact cement so they stay in place. And I guess I'll go ahead and cut one piece out and show you installing that. So you just, again, you're just kind of guesstimating at this thing. This isn't a precision procedure. And these little waffle patterns kind of help you cut a straight line too. And as you can see, stuff just cuts with scissors very easily. So we hold it down in there, and then we need to cut out where these little braces are. And I guess if I had really been doing a super jam up job, I would have put these little braces in the exact same place, but it looks like they're just kind of randomly in here. And actually, that piece will fit in there like that. And I'm not too worried that it doesn't go all the way to the back. We're just trying to cover up the majority of it. I actually may trim this out a little bit and center this up a little better. When reading online about this, there were some people saying, oh, that's a waste of time. And then other people said, yeah, that stuff really helps. And then other people were saying, well, I'm not sure if it helps or not, but it's probably not going to hurt anything. And given I've got some of this stuff already, I'm going to put it inside them, just for fun. And again, this isn't a necessary step, and you may not want to spend the money going out and buying this stuff. And honestly, not sure if it's going to make a big difference or not, but I don't think it's going to hurt anything. So we've got that piece cut like that, and so you come in here, and then you just peel the backing off. And this is some like butyl rubber, like that. Kind of stuck in place like that. Then I come back with this tool, press it in place so I'm sure that it doesn't fall out. And if nothing else, it's going to add some mass to the cabinet, which is one of the reasons they say MDF makes a better speaker material than like plywood or even solid wood does. It's because it's a very dense material. And like to get the very inside edge here, I'm just going to use the edge of these scissors to kind of smush that down. Then it looks like that when you're done. Let's see, maybe looks like that. So I'm going to go ahead and line the rest of the inside of this. And like I said, I'm going to do the top and the bottom. And on the bottom, it has a place where the crossover is going to sit. And so we're going to cut that out of the mat because obviously we don't want this aluminum stuff near the crossover. And just cut the center out where the crossover is going to sit. And then the mat batting stuff goes over the top of the crossover once we get it put in place. So let me get all of that done and then we'll come back and glue this thing together. Okay, so we got our sound deadening material all installed and you can see we lined everything with it. And it's okay to cut it up in pieces if you need to for something like this, or use up some of the little scrap pieces for that, because I mean this stuff sticks really good. And as you can see, I lined everything, but I'm not doing this face here because I want to keep this opening as open as I can for the back of the woofer. And on this one, I cut this part out down the bottom because we're going to have some wires come in there, and just want to make sure this aluminum stuff doesn't get anywhere near where the wires are going to be. And so the tweeter's going to stick through there. And then I decided I'm going to go ahead and put the batting stuff inside it once I've glued it all together. And you can see on this board, here's the crossover, and I've assembled one of them. I will go over assembling the crossover in another video. But as you can see here, cut this out where there's plenty of room around it where it's not going to touch anything. And you can see the traces don't really come that close to the edges anyway. And, you know, nice clearance all the way around it. So we'll bolt that in later, however that mounts. I think it kind of sits up on little stands. So we are ready to glue the top and the bottom on. And this part's going to be super easy. On the top, it just put glue on the edges. Sit that on there. Flip it over. Put glue on the edges of that. Set that in there. And once you get that glued up, come in here and put clamps 1, 2, then on the other side 3, 4. 4 clamps, top and bottom squeezed down, and then we'll have our box assembled. And after this is dried overnight, we'll come back and I'll show you routing off these corners to make this thing look really cool. And I'm probably on mine going to come in with some plastic wood and fill these holes up because I'm not going to be using a grill. And I think I'm going to be spray bombing this thing with textured black paint, just like I did on my little GR research speakers. So I'm going to get this glued up and then we'll be back and start working on the routing of this and then assembling the speaker. Okay, we're back. We got the top and bottom glued on, and you can see we put 4 clamps on here like this, and came out great. The seams are a little off. I mean, they're not horrible by any means, and the cabinet's definitely square, and it's definitely glued up good. But there's a little bit of overlap in this corner, or only just one side. I'll zoom in here and show you what that looks like when I get these clamps off. But it's definitely not what I would consider a problem. Let me spin this around and show you what this looks like and zoom in on the kind of worst part. And you can see right here, there's a little bit of an overlap, but that could easily be sanded out with some, 100 grit sandpaper and smoothed out. Even if you were gonna, well, you're not gonna stain this because it's MDF, so you're gonna be like covering this anyway. So you can easily square that corner off. And I've checked the box with a square. We're all good on that. The other thing I'm going to show you is I'm not going to be putting a grill on the front of it. and that's what these holes are for. And this is what the grill frame looks like. And as you can see, the grill frame itself, they had to even notch it out here for the speaker like that. And I think that's just going to intrude too much into the sound coming out of especially the woofer. And so, not going to use this grill frame or grill or anything like that. We're just going to have the speakers exposed, which I think looks fine. That means we got to fill these holes up. And so, in the hole, the deepest part, I've got some printer paper that I wadded up, soaked in glue, and poked down in here as tight as I could to fill up the void in the deepest part. And then I'm going to come back with some plastic wood, or you can use any kind of wood filler you want, but I've just had good luck with this DAP plastic wood. And I got natural finish. Gonna fill these up after this dries good and let that dry, and then sand this off flush. Might give it a second coat, and this stuff also works good if there's any like little gaps in the seams when you get done and you want to fill them in so that it doesn't show through in your finish. It works kind of like wood Bondo, and so this stuff's really good stuff. Next, I'm going to take the speaker outside, and definitely do this outside because this MDF dust is a mess. Wear a mask. You don't want to be breathing the dust from this stuff. But I'm going to get my router with a round over bit. I'm going to come in and round off all the edges. And I think that gives a really cool look to the speaker. Again, if you like this sharp edge look, you could just get some sandpaper and sand these seams to get them nice and smooth. And then finish it either with a veneer. You could glue linoleum on it. You could, I'm going to be spray bombing mine with some satin finish seafoam paint. I was going to use some textured black, but the store was out of it. So I was kind of like, well, what else could I get? And I thought about that the drivers are both black. And so having a lighter colored body would make the speakers kind of stand out on the front of it. So I'm going to try this seafoam color and see if I like it. Be just something different. And that's kind of the fun with DIY stuff, is you can do it however you want and make it your own. So I'm going to go take this thing outside, route this off, get these holes filled up and sand those off, and get ready to apply the finish to it. As you can see here, we've gotten to applying the finish on it, which to me is the hardest part for a home DIYer. So I rounded these edges off my router, so I got a nice smooth look to it. Put some sandable primer on the front here to try to smooth out where these holes were, which is still a battle because the filler material likes to shrink up. It's just part of dealing with doing basically, body work on something like this. So I put a couple of coats of some white satin Krylon, that fusion paint, and then I'm going to let this dry for a couple of days to get really good and cured. Then I'm going to come back with either some 320 or 400 sandpaper and sand the whole thing down and really work. I put a little thicker paint here over these holes, the bodywork filler here, so I can sand those down and try to completely get rid of any signs that there were holes in the front, sand out any runs, and then without going through this white finish, try to get a nice smooth surface that's sealed to put my final color coat on. And that's a surprise. You'll get to see that in the next video. Gonna do something pretty unique here. I wanted to go with a lighter color. And white's a little boring to me, but I think having, these black drivers against a lighter color is going to look really cool. My previous ones I painted white, but the drivers had silver cones, so we had that standing out. And I thought it would just be kind of weird looking having black speakers with black cones, and yeah, I don't know. I just thought that would look weird. Who knows? I may not like this color or this look when I get done, and I can always come back and spray it with that black textured paint if I want to go that route. So It's easier to go with the light color first, see if I like it. Then if I don't, it's always easy to put black over something. So anyway, I hope you're enjoying this little short build series. I'm going to show you building the crossover in the next video, and then wiring up the inside of this, and that'll kind of wrap up this series. So hope you're enjoying this content. In general, I try to do a variety of stuff, and if you're enjoying this, please subscribe to the channel. That really helps a lot, as does liking the video. A lot of you don't like the videos, and I know that you like this content or you wouldn't keep coming back. So click on the little button down there. That tells YouTube that you actually like my content, and it shows it to other people. So until this paint cures and I can scuff this off and get it painted again and that dries, which will be a few days, we're just going to hang tight here on this build and should have something by this weekend. So have a great day.